Time now for Unstoppable Performances presented by Ram Trucks. Let's focus our attention on Death Valley, the South Carolina location. Top 10 showdown between number 9 LSU and the host, number 4 Clemson. Two programs, big title aspirations this season. Clemson coming off winning its 8th ACC championship in the last 10 seasons. Meanwhile, LSU trying to get back to the tippy top where they feel like they belong, coming off an 8-4 season. All right, Trev, so when you're looking at these two Tigers, the question is, who's the mightiest Tiger, in your opinion, on the field heading into this game?
So I love the idea of Clemson. More on that later because just more of a macro level.
Yeah.
But I digress because the idea of Brian Kelly finally getting a win in the season opener.
Oh.
No, I just can't go for that. Like, I doubt that it's going to happen this year, mainly because of the fact that they have lost so much on the O-line. And beyond that, yes, LSU always finds a way to get themselves a receiver or two, but the chemistry may not necessarily be there. There is a world in which the second year under Brandon Baker, the defense tightens up.
I agree. I do agree.
But will that actually be enough to kind of get over a Clemson team that is obviously way more experienced as far as just the chemistry and everything goes? I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So here's my thing. I think in a game like this, you have two top-tier quarterbacks. Yeah. You have the skilled players, certainly for LSU and Clemson. I think this game is a trenches game.
I like it.
And I think if you're looking at LSU's offensive line, who is returning only one consistent starter from last year's offensive line, Will Campbell Jr., a top 5 pick to the NFL last year. And then you have Clemson's defensive line, who has a projected top 10 picks in the draft next year, and Peter Woods and TJ Parker and Will Held coming from Purdue. I just think that battle is going to be won there. Defensive line for Clemson might be able to get the best of that LSU offensive line. So when it's all said and done, I think we're talking trenches at the end of this game, Trev.
No, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Like, a lot of these games are going to end up boiling down to the trench battle, trench warfare, if you will. Beyond that, like, skill can set these matchups apart. I just don't think that there's enough of a discrepancy, especially in LSU's side, in order to get over that hump.
Yeah, so we'll see. And obviously the fans will certainly be behind the Clemson Tigers. All right, we've already noted the quarterbacks in this matchup are veterans. You have Cade Klubnik on one side for Clemson. You have Garrett Nussmeier for LSU. Both potential Heisman candidates. Who do you think is the front runner that could potentially actually win that Heisman Trophy? Who has better odds?
Better odds, I'll go Cade Klubnik based on the schedule layout and what LSU has to go through as opposed to what Clemson has to go through. There are more chances for Cade to not only shine on the bigger stages, but also take advantage of a weaker ACC schedule overall. So, like, feels like an easy slide towards Cade there. Beyond that, the chemistry that we talked about as well.
Yeah, I don't want to go too deep on Cade. That's hint, a tease for later in the show. But I will say, look, Garrett Nussmeier, he came back for another year for a reason. And he's got playmakers at his disposal. Granted, some of them are transfers in.
You got a 1,500-yard guy coming in from Kentucky. These are guys that can ball, no question.
Barry Brown, who's going to be outstanding from the Cats. But I think the continuity for Cade and this Clemson offense, a chance for them to really put up explosive numbers. Cade did it last year. I expect him to do the same this year. All right, primetime coaching matchup. Brian Kelly for the LSU Tigers, Dabo Swinney for Clemson. Much has been made about Dabo Swinney not diving into the portal. All right. He did a little bit this year, finally. Okay, and for LSU, Brian Kelly, you know, those fans are rabid down there in the bio. This is a bigger matchup for which coach in terms of having to win?
Brian Kelly.
Yeah,
no question. Like, I mean, as much as we make of Brian Kelly's lack of season opener success, there is a general aura around him that works against him from a personality standpoint. The fit didn't necessarily jive the moment he got down there to the fake accent that he tried to throw on in the first introductory press conference. Like, I think that there is more at stake for Brian Kelly, mainly because of not living up to the hype that is always going to surround LSU. And then there's a culture issue that if it doesn't eventually click, that's going to have ramifications outside of just the four walls of his football office.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think the pressure this season is most certainly on Brian Kelly as opposed to Dabo Swinney. I do not think Dabo Swinney is even anywhere close to the hot seat. Like, he's not even close to the fire. Dabo Swinney. Look, he's had 14 straight, at least 9-win seasons.
Yeah.
He's the epitome of consistency. Clemson just feels like they need to be back in the national spotlight consistently, and I think this is the year they finally get it done.
To your point, right, regarding the lack of transfer portal, I think there was one sort of assessment of it where it could have been, hey, Dabo maybe just having rose-tinted glasses on his own roster.
Yeah.
But in the same breath, the valuing of a culture that is instilled from guys that you recruit and build cannot be understated, and I think he's starting to see the fruits of that labor.
Yeah, I would agree. So Brian Kelly knows what's at stake. They do there at LSU, and look, they've got a great opportunity to open the season on the road in Death Valley, Clemson, South Carolina. All right, let's welcome in now to talk more about this matchup and the other top 10 showdowns coming up. ESPN senior writer Heather Dinich, who is already a very, very busy woman. Heather, already, it's Tuesday of week one. How many television appearances have you had already this week?
Just a few, guys, just a few, but we're getting started. It's here. Now we're talking about football.
Yeah, we're so excited to finally have some games on the actual field. We were just talking Clemson, LSU. In terms of Clemson, a win in this opener against the Bayou Bengals would do what, Heather, for their narrative long-term this season?
Well, it would put them in a position to go 2-0 against the SEC in the non-conference schedule. Because remember, they end the regular season against rival South Carolina. And if Clemson doesn't win the ACC and they're fighting for an at-large bid, and they go 2-0 against the SEC, that non-conference resume is going to be nearly impossible to beat in the selection committee meeting room. Plus, it gives them the head-to-head win against those teams, which is one of the tiebreakers. It's so critical. And yes, we can absolutely talk playoff implications in week one because every game matters.
No question, right? And beyond just the results of a Clemson win, this could also be extremely detrimental from an LSU standpoint. How much more difficult is it for LSU to get back into the playoff sort of conversation should they drop this season open?
Well, it's hard simply because LSU's schedule is so hard. Number 11 in the country, right? It's a double-edged sword because if they lose, there are plenty of opportunities to make up for it and compensate for it in that selection committee meeting room. But you could also very easily see how LSU would be a 2 or a 3-loss team. ESPN's FPI gives them less than a 50% chance to win at Ole Miss, at Alabama, and oh, by the way, at Clemson.
Yeah, for LSU, if they lose this opener, I know the odds have them falling under 30% chance to make the college football playoff. But again, that's only after week one. All right, when you're watching this kickoff, 7:30 on ABC, Heather, what will you be watching the closest to see what determines the outcome in this game between the two Tigers?
I'm going with Clemson's defensive line against Garrett Nussmeier. And I talked to Dabo Swinney about that this week, and he said, if we don't get that done and put pressure on him, we're not going to win this game. You look at both of these teams, they both have excellent quarterbacks. They both have great wide receivers. These passing games should be on fire. But if they can't get after Nussmeier and force him into some of those interceptions that we've seen from him before, then you could see LSU escape Death Valley with this win.
Yeah, absolutely watching that battle in the trenches there.
You want this, you got that. No way, watch